they're like, oh, McDonald's, that's what you're going to do. And I'm like, no, it's actually more than that. Like, I get to be able to create a brand and then expand it very fast. Like, they don't get that. So right. I think it's just marketing franchising differently that we could probably be able to get some more students and even more Titus Center board members in as well.
Welcome to the Franchise Hot Seat Podcast, where we talk about all things franchising. Now, here's your host, Dr. John P. Hayes.
I'm back with another episode of the Franchise Hot Seat Podcast, and I have two terrific guests from our student body at Palm Beach Atlantic University, students who are studying franchising. And so it's my great pleasure to welcome Leanna Carlson and Ethan Stayte, both of them currently my students. I think this is the senior year for both of you. Tell us that when you introduce yourself. Tell us who you are. Why are you studying franchising? Did you come to college to study franchising? And what do you think about franchising? Leanna, we're going to start with you.
Yeah, so I originally came to PBA from someone who lived in my neighborhood, and I knew I wanted to study franchising because my dad kind of is an independent contractor for State Farm. He's a State Farm agent. So he's in a way a franchisee, maybe not by definition, not by term, but by definition. And I really like that model of business. And I knew I wanted to study franchising, except no really universities in the United States offered like a good program for it. And then I actually just happened to come visit PBA, and I found out that they had a franchising program, and that's kind of why I chose it as well. Especially integrating faith in franchising and entrepreneurship is what really led me to PBA. So I am a junior, actually, so I'm studying international business and entrepreneurship and franchising.
Great combination. What a great combination. Good for you. We'll come back to more of that. Ethan?
Yeah. So I have one more semester after this semester. So technically in between like junior and senior year, I transferred here from another school. But yeah, I came to PBA already knowing about the franchising program and wanting to get involved as one of the reasons I came here. Big reason was Christian school. I wanted to have a place where I had a good Christian community, and also I had visited the school previously, and I heard about the franchising concentration, and I knew about franchising beforehand because a guy at my church had franchised multiple different restaurants, and I found that super interesting and something I wanted to do. And so when I heard about the franchising program, I came to PBA partly because of that.
Great. I may have known that about both of you, that you came knowing we had a franchise program, but I've forgotten because of the 100 and some students who have studied franchising, or I think 100 plus in the 9 years that I have been at PBA, have graduated with a concentration in franchising, and practically all of them came to PBA not knowing there would be a Titus Center, that there was a Titus Center where they could study franchising. First class was in 2017. By the way, one of those graduates, Leanna, is over in the Tampa area. I think I know he's an insurance franchisee like his father. I don't remember, though, if it's State Farm, but we've had that happen among our graduates already. Most students don't know anything about franchising, as most people don't know anything about franchising. But how fortunate that you two did know about franchising. It was a mission to come and study at a Christian university that would offer franchising. I think there's only one of those. We're not the only university to teach franchising. University of Louisville has a terrific program. Babson, University of Tennessee, other universities do teach franchising. But as far as I know, no other university but Palm Beach Atlantic University offers a concentration in franchising, which goes on your transcript. And that's a big plus when you're out looking for employment. I used to say to students studying franchising, I guarantee you, you will get a job. I will help you get a job if you graduate with a concentration in franchising. The economy has changed a little bit in the last couple of years, so I don't make that guarantee anymore, but I continue to get calls at least monthly from franchisors or suppliers who say to me, do you have anyone in your program who I could hire entry level in marketing or international business or in operations or franchise development? And I probably don't, because the students who graduate do have jobs for the most part. I just don't guarantee that anymore. But I hope that we can, again, we do guarantee that you're going to learn a great deal about franchising. I'm amused by previous graduates who go to the IFA convention, where both of you are going next week as well. Yeah, great. Well, and you haven't been there before, so just wait until you see what's ahead of you. And my graduates who have been there and who entered the certified franchise CFE program, Certified Franchise Executive Program. So I've had graduates and some of my students as well who knew they were getting a job with a franchisor who was going to pay for them to get their CFE. And they would tell me at the convention or after the convention how people complimented them, saying, you're just a young person, not even out of college or just out of college. I've been in franchising 10 years and you seem to know more about it than I do. How could that be possible? And of course, they give credit to Palm Beach Atlantic University, Titus Center, and the concentration in franchising. So you're going to be well-versed and well-informed in franchising. And I want to go back to Leanna, because I said that combination, if I were doing it all over, I were your age, I would definitely do international business, and I would do the franchise concentration and specialize in franchise development. And after about 25 years of success, I might settle in a foreign country where I may have developed a franchise concept from the United States or even another country. I certainly would have plenty of money if I did my job well, particularly in franchise development. And I would be so satisfied, because one of the purposes we have as Christians is that be useful to other people, be a help to other people. And I always look at teaching, certainly that's a help to other people, but so is franchising on a grand scale, because we're empowering people to go do something, usually something they never thought they would do, at least in an area, in a community, or within an industry. Multiple industries use franchising for their method of distribution and growth. And about 500 companies out of the United States are looking for international development. There are many more franchise brands worldwide who want to come to the United States or want to go to the Philippines or Japan or to South America. So international franchising has always been bubbling, if not booming. So Leanna, why international? Do you want to live someplace else, work someplace else, or what are you?
Yeah, so I've always had a aspiration for like traveling. I've always loved travel. And so I actually studied abroad my sophomore year, and I was in Florence, Italy, and I just noticed, I already knew at that point that I wanted to do franchising, and I just noticed that a lot of the brands from the countries that I've been to in Europe and even like Costa Rica, I was just there, the franchises that are there are really successful, but there's not a lot of them. And I would talk to even like Red Boswell about this. He says like 90, maybe like 95 around that area. 95% of franchises are in the United States, but that's like just one country. I see a huge like market potential internationally. And, yeah, I just love travel and different cultures, and franchising is that specific kind of business methodology that can be implemented anywhere in the world. It doesn't specifically have to be the United States, so I just see a big potential there and something I'm interested in personally.
Have you completed a franchise internship already, or are you still doing one?
No, I haven't.
So you have opportunities to do something internationally if you want, although that's difficult. You can't do a U.S. franchise internship and live in another country. That won't work. But you can go to another country and do your franchise internship in that country, like Alicia Passerini, who graduated a year ago, but probably 2-3 summers ago when she went back to Italy, went home for the summer, she needed to do a franchise internship, and she ended up doing an internship with McDonald's in her area of Italy and with a German-based fitness franchise as well. So we've had students who can work internationally, particularly if they live internationally. But you probably you will find a franchise internship with a U.S. company that will have you work in their international division. Like United Franchise Group is a good example, but there are many others as well. Expense reduction analyst is one that participates in our advisory board. I've already hired 1 or 2 of our graduates and has a great interest in international. And the founder of the company, who's based outside of London, always says to me, when are you going to send a student who wants to do an internship with us outside of London? I think they're south of London. What a great opportunity that would be. So you certainly can pursue that. Ethan, what's your interest with franchising?
Yeah. So right now at PBA, I'm majoring in marketing, and then I'm doing the concentration in franchising currently. And I've done multiple different marketing franchise internships. But I would like to eventually be franchisee, potentially multi-unit, in long-term goal. But right when I graduate, I may be looking for something in franchise development or some type of franchise sales role would be ideal for me.
Okay. And did you know before you came to PBA that franchise companies want to hire marketing majors? They really want to hire marketing majors who know about franchising. You'll go to the top of the pack. There are approximately 4,000 franchise brands in North America. All of them hire marketing graduates at one point or another. And if they find someone who has franchising as well, you go to the top of the list of potential hirees because you've got that franchise experience. Did you know that before you came to PBA?
I did not know that.
Yeah. So in a way, more than in a way, your concentration in franchising enhances your degree, no matter what that degree is in. Can you talk about that a little bit? What kind of advantages do you see it giving you?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, kind of what I've seen from my internships that I've done. So I've done 3 different franchise-related marketing internships. So I've been with restaurant brands like Glory Days Grill and Bare Naked Kitchen in Tampa. Then also here in West Palm, I was with Retro Fitness, and then I'm currently doing an internship with United Franchise Group. But what I've seen is it's very helpful knowing a lot about franchising in that industry, because there's a lot of advantages to knowing the market, like who you're marketing to. Like there's a lot of marketing to specific franchisees as well as to marketing to your consumers, and knowing the ins and outs of that and knowing how a franchise system works is very key.
Great. And Leanna, you mentioned Red Boswell from IFPG, who is a graduate of PBA. He did his MBA at PBA and specialized in franchising. And then currently his son is earning his MBA at PBA as well. Red is an original member of our advisory board at the Titus Center. I'm assuming you met him through the Titus Center, but you've met a lot of other people, and I've seen you've got some networking skills because you've stayed in touch with people. Talk about that a little bit. How has that helped you in developing or preparing to develop your career?
Yeah, so I'll give this IFA experience as an example. The IFA will be where all the international franchise specialists will be at, whether they specialize in international franchise development. So through the Titus Center, I'm greatly appreciative of it because I already have like 3 or 4 meetings with people that work in international franchising lined up for me when I get to IFA. And those connections have all come from the Titus Center, just like guest speakers that have come into our class. And I'm in the mentorship program as well. So my mentor, Gary Ratner, has been very helpful as well, just connecting me with the right people. And that's what's so special about the franchising community as well. My dad's best friend is a franchisor, and he knows Red and uses Red for his brokerage. And that's what makes it so special, in my opinion. And I also just came from the Davos World Economic Forum. So I got to kind of practice like networking myself and my elevator pitch per se, even though it might be a little different to the people there, but just like experience and just being confident in yourself is something I've learned even within this past year going to all these networking events, because people, when they see me as a Titus Center student, they want to help me. They're like, oh, you want to know this? I know like 5 people who can help you. And then those 5 people know 5 other people that can help you. And by the time you're done with that one event, you have like 10 people that you can just call up at any point if you need something, or you just like a quick call. Like Ray Titus, for example, I called him just because I had like 2 questions about international franchising, and he was more than willing to take time out of his really busy day around the holidays even to like just sit down and speak with me for 30 minutes. So greatly appreciative of Titus Center as well. And
there are franchisors who would pay to get a meeting with Ray Titus, and you, a student at PBA, had access to him, certainly without any money, exchanging hands, and with little fuss or preparation or waiting around. He's always eager to help, particularly our students, and particularly somebody who wants to know about franchising. As are other people who have supported the Titus Center through the years. You're going to go to the IFA convention. Bill Edwards one of the big names in international development for the last 30 years out of the United States, lived abroad, built franchises abroad in his younger days. And I know he'll meet with you at the IFA. You also met Bruce McFarlane from Australia, and he's been interested in helping you as well. And I see that you've networked with him. Mm-hmm. These opportunities, students don't get these opportunities at other universities. This is a great advantage whenever you're not only studying franchising, but the people who work and live and breathe the business come to the campus. And I saw you with Gary Ratner yesterday. Now, he's not an international guy necessarily, but he knows how to build franchise businesses and certainly is well connected and well read. So that's been a big advantage for you. Do you share this information with your parents? Do they know about your success in franchising at PBA?
Yes, they do. They're actually in town right now, and I'm telling them everything that's going on and how I'm too busy to kind of hang out with them. But they're like, you do what you have to do. You're making more connections than I would. And I find that a lot of people I talk to, I even ran into Adam DeJong and Elizabeth at this like random restaurant in West Palm Beach, and it was like a few hours after they had spoken at the Titus Center, and Elizabeth was like, I'm so jealous of the Titus Center students, because if I would go back to when I was in college, like this would help me so much in my career, and I would be super grateful to have all these guest speakers come into my classes and the people with hands-on experience that are in the business right now answering my questions and helping me. That she was saying that she would have loved to have that when she was in college, and same with Adam as well.
Yeah, people always say that. Where was the Titus Center when I was in college? Well, good question. Where was it when I was in college? But I was studying journalism and then American history for my PhD, and I didn't know how to spell the word franchising at the time. So I'm not sure I would have studied it anyway, but still it was God's plan for my life that I would bump into franchising, learn how to spell it, and learn a few things about it as well, which in my own case created a magical career that not only I couldn't have imagined for myself, or I certainly didn't, my parents didn't imagine it for me. No one who knew me or taught me imagined it for me either. But it has developed over the last almost 50 years. And very grateful that I could come to PBA and share the knowledge and bring in essentially people who have been my friends for 20, 30, 40 years. So Ethan, when you graduate, how about your parents? Did they know about your success? I want to go back to that question for a moment.
They at first they didn't really see okay, franchising, they didn't really know much about it. But when I told them all the opportunities I got and all of the guest speakers that I got to listen to, and how I told them basically, yeah, franchising classes are by far my favorite classes. They were all for it basically. They definitely supported me doing it.
Yeah, great. Well, most parents, well, not most, but we have graduates and students who, when they tell their parents they're going to study franchising, in one case with one of my young graduates who has been employed at United Franchise Group for the last 3 or 4 years, her parents said, "We're not sending you to college to flip burgers." Well, she's done a little better than flipping burgers, even though there's nothing wrong with flipping burgers. There are franchisees who might have to flip burgers every once in a while, but who make a great living and building a great business. And I think that's where part of the opportunity is here. Ethan, you want to be a multi-unit franchisee. Well, how would you do that? Or where would you even know that you could do that without studying franchising? So how has that inspired you and helped you?
Yeah. I mean, I have a lot of goals and things that I want to do to make an impact. And I feel like I've heard so many people who speak in our classes about their success in franchising and becoming multi-unit franchisee. We got to listen to John Clancy in our class. He was very inspiring for me, along with some other people who spoke. And I just think it's definitely an attainable goal after learning franchising and working in the franchise space.
Yeah. And John is a mumbo, a multi-unit, multi-brand operator. John owns 50 Planet Fitness locations, 35 Smoothie Kings, Bath City Soap, about 30 of those. Now he's going to buy 107 brews as well. So he's a great guy for you to know, and for both of you to connect with. He doesn't do anything internationally that I know of, but he is a great networker and connector in franchising, and certainly and a member of our advisory board once again, and wants to always help our students. Why do we not have 200 students at PBA studying franchising? We have about 100 usually at any one time. They don't all graduate, although we're going to have our highest graduating number, biggest class in May this year. Something like 21 students are going to graduate either in the entrepreneurship and franchising major. I think the first graduates of that program are going to be in May, and then the others are earning the concentration in franchising. But why don't we have more? You would think with all the excitement and enthusiasm, of course, for me, that's just native to what I do. If it's not franchising, I'm probably not talking about it or doing much about it. So I'm a little weird in that respect. But other people get excited. Many of our graduates come back to meet with our advisory board. They are members of our advisory board, to speak to students, to network with students, just to hang out at the Titus Center. What's wrong? Why don't we have 200? There are 800 students studying business. All of them ought to study franchising, in my opinion. Well, that's not going to happen, but 200 of them, 250 of them could. Why? What can we do better at PBA to reach those young people? Either one of you, start out. Leanna, go ahead.
I would say it's just more of an awareness thing. I mean, when I tell people I study franchising, and at least it's one of my majors, they're like, oh, you mean McDonald's? That's like the first thing that goes to their head. They think of McDonald's, they think of Chick-fil-A, and they're like, oh, I don't want to work at McDonald's. I don't really want to work at Chick-fil-A for the rest of my life. But I think the whole special methodology of franchising isn't made aware, especially until you take your first class and you realize, oh, that's how it works. But I think marketing franchising differently to kind of get rid of that predetermined bias that people have about it is why people don't realize the opportunities that await them, in my opinion. Because that's what happens when I'm speaking to other students that aren't even in business, but they're like, oh, McDonald's, that's what you're going to do? And like, no, it's actually more than that. Like, I get to be able to create a brand and then expand it very fast. Like, they don't get that. So right. I think it's just marketing franchising differently that we could probably be able to get some more students and even more Titus Center board members in as well.
Ethan, how about you? What could the university do to not only business majors? I've had political science majors who've earned the concentration in franchising. One is working with John Clancy right now on the Seven Brew project. I've had communications, public relations majors and students from the communications school, pharmacy school. We have franchises in pharmacy, but the pharmacy students are usually so busy and their curriculum, their schedule is already pretty restrictive. It's hard for them to study franchising. But what could PBA do to help bring franchising to the minds of more of our students? Ethan?
Yeah, it's a good question. Actually, I don't know why there's so little students doing franchising. Like, it's like, I think it's partly just because people just don't know what goes on in the classes. Like, I talked to some of my friends at PBA about what I do, franchising concentration. They're like, wow, I wish my classes did that. Like, so like, I think if they knew like what happened with the franchising concentration, then they would take it. They just weren't aware of it. And then also I think what will help for sure is having the major in entrepreneurship and franchising. Because I think when someone thinks of adding on classes just to get like a concentration, it doesn't seem like, oh, I don't want to take more classes to add on to this. But right. If it's like an actual major, I think a lot more people will take it.
Yeah. And of course, you don't have to take more classes. You have 16 or 15 elective hours. You need 9 of them to complete the concentration in franchising plus an internship. You've got to take elective courses anyway. Why not take 3 franchise elective courses? Which I love the fact that the concentration is an elective because no one has to sign up for my class and no one has to come to my class and you don't have to pass my class. So if you don't want to attend, don't attend. I love that. And yet I'll still have a dozen to 15 to 20 students in some of my classes because they're there because they want to be. And what a pleasure to teach students in that situation. I want to go back to something you said, Leanna, about when people say, oh, McDonald's, that's what you want to do? Imagine if you owned 100 McDonald's, 10 McDonald's. Now, that's not that it's not stressful, not that it's not difficult. Better yet, people don't know this. What if you owned one or more Chick-fil-A units, and the average Chick-fil-A unit produces $8 to $9 million a year. And if you're lucky enough to get 2 of them, as Rob Morris, who's on our board and owns and operates 2 Chick-fil-A's in West Palm Beach, doing something like $22-23 million a year. What are they going to do? These people who are saying to you, oh, McDonald's, that's what you want to do. Well, what are you going to do? You're going to get a job someplace. 70% of people who have jobs in America don't like their jobs, wouldn't want to get their same job all over again. Are you going to join that misery, or are you going to create something on your own, which you have an opportunity to do? But all this goes back to what you have both said. People just don't understand franchising, and we need to do a better job of that.
I think there's going to be a great demand for franchisees in the future, because especially with people in our generation, maybe Ethan's generation, Gen Z, people are leaning away from school and they're leaning more towards entrepreneurship. However, 50% of small businesses fail, and you have a lower failure rate with being a franchisee. And I think it's going to be more popular to be a franchisee in the upcoming years, because there is that ownership aspect of owning your own location or multi-locations that's going to appeal to people. And also the requirements to be a franchisee, you don't necessarily need a specific major or even like a degree really to be a franchisee, as long as you have the great qualities that align with the brand. And I think that's going to be something that we're going to see in the upcoming years, especially in our generation. A lot of people are going to want to be franchisees. However, going back to the previous question of, well, how do they know that that's an option for them? I think that's something that, students like us in our generation can kind of like take advantage of.
Yeah, you're the best advertising for the Titus Center. Graduates of Titus Center are our best advertising as well. People like Mitchell Nolan and Matthew Cancino, Red Boswell being an MBA graduate. They're out there telling people you need to consider franchising for all these opportunities that the two of you have been talking about. So, Ethan, do you have to be a millionaire to be able to buy a franchise? A lot of people think, well, I'm not a millionaire. I can't own a business. What do you say?
No, you don't, actually. There are some franchises that you may need $1 million for, but generally, no. There's a lot of franchises that are cheaper than that. And there's also different ways to acquire a franchise with SBA loans or different processes about doing that. But also there are lots of like service brand, home service franchises that can be way lower than a $1 million startup, like even in the tens of thousands range. A Chick-fil-A franchise, it's not the same type of model, but it's only a $10,000 entry fee. So
exactly,
there's a lot of different franchise opportunities under $1 million for sure.
You mentioned service businesses, and for example, businesses that provide services to homeowners, Neighborly being the biggest in the world with 36 franchise brands all related to home services. Neighborly, a member of the Titus Center Advisory Board. Neighborly came from the Dwyer Group. Our first scholarship, endowed scholarship at $100,000 is in memory of Don Dwyer Sr., who founded the Dwyer Group, which then eventually became Neighborly. And they have business opportunities, franchise opportunities available well under $1 million, well under a couple of $100,000, some in that $100,000 or less range. Now, 12 of our graduates have to date, 12 graduates have become franchisees, and about half of them became franchisees before they graduated, which I do not recommend, because being a startup franchisee takes all of your time, not just 40 hours a week, but 80, 100 hours a week. There's no time to go to school when you do that. But we had some entrepreneurial, brave students like Hogan McFadden and Luke Sossaman, who's just graduating, who went out and bought their franchises before they graduated. So did Sossaman, Luke's brother. He did it several years ago. None of my graduates have spent more than $100,000, usually well under that. Maybe a couple now have crossed the $100,000 mark. We've had our first graduate, Aaron Rose, who was my first student ever in a franchise class. He was the first one to sign up in 2017. And he just bought a cafe concept that would cost more than $100,000. But most young people, the Gen Zs who I've taught, who are buying franchises, are getting in under $100,000. Now, that may mean that you're not going to be a millionaire in 5 years or 20 years working a small service business. Although over a period of time, you could add multiple territories to that same service business, or you could also develop multiple brands. Like at Neighborly, if you're an AirServe franchisee providing heating and air conditioning services, you might also be a Mr. Rooter plumbing franchise. You might also be a Mr. Electrical franchise. And you might, I don't know which brands they have for mowing your yard, but they have them. They have mosquito killing franchises as well for your backyard. And you could add multiple and become essentially a MUMBO, multi-unit, multi-brand operator. And then you are on path to becoming a millionaire or a multimillionaire if that's what you want to do. This is the best route for Gen Zs to get on to build the type of business that they want, whether it's service or food, and whether it's going to produce hundreds of thousands of dollars a year in profit to them, and over a period of years, millions of dollars, which builds their own legacy and builds their financial foundation and might be generational. It may be that, and today we see many franchisees who are my age are now selling those businesses to their children. And this is a great way for generational wealth to be produced through franchising. And I know you two are going to do very well, and you'll be great ambassadors, not only at the IFA when you're representing PBA in the Titus Center, but once you graduate as well. And I want to thank you for doing this interview with me. And any closing remarks, Leanna?
No, nothing really, except just a big thank you.
No, you're welcome. Ethan?
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Hayes, for having us on the podcast. It's definitely a huge opportunity, and I'm glad we were able to do it.
Well, you're welcome. And I appreciate all of our viewers, and some of them certainly will be in contact with you. Some, I hope, are Gen Zs who want to come to PBA and study franchising and want to ask you how it all works and what to do. And as well, there may be some franchisor, multi-unit franchisees out there or suppliers who are thinking they'd like to hire one or both of you. We'll see what happens. Thanks for doing this with me.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for tuning in to the Franchise Hot Seat Podcast with Dr. John P. Hayes. Tune in next time for more conversation around all things franchising.